I think this pre-facelift GLC43 needs a bit more AMG DNA. That's better. So guys, so far on RBR, we've tested the pre-facelift GLC63S and the facelift and that incredibly loud car in Abu Dhabi, which was my favorite so far. And we found the facelift to be better in every regard other than sound. We've also tried this car's elder cousin, the GLE53, and we fell in love with that car for how much AMG DNA it had for an entry-level car. But we've never actually driven the GLC43 at all, at least on screen. So today, we're gonna finally have a look at this, the GLC43 facelift. So GLC43, where does this car sit in the AMG lineup? Because there's so many AMGs now, isn't there? Well, to put it simply, it's in the same family as the 35 and the 53 AMGs, meaning it is an entry-level AMG, but this is for the mid-size or C-class family of cars. So the car is much related to the C43 that we've tested many times on the channel as well. So we've got that AMG V6 engine, which has been heavily modified by AMG, and in this car, it produces 390 brake horsepower, which is about 23 more than the pre-facelift. So unlike the 63S, which never had any power bump in the facelift, this 43 has benefited from it. It still has the same 520 Newton meters and 0 to 60 is 4.9 seconds in both the SUV and the coupe, and all of that power goes to a somewhat rear biased standard 4MATIC system with about 69% going to the rear wheels. But this is nothing like the 4MATIC Plus that you find in the 63S and the GLE53, which can send up to 100% to the rear wheels, and like you would see in the E63S with the drift mode. So it's a bit more of a standard setup like in the C43. That power bump is solely down to a software update, but it does give this car a much needed bump compared to the previous car, and we'll talk about that later. Now, of course, the one big change, at least outside, that we cannot ignore is the design change. There's a new fascia on this car, which you will find on now every AMG coming into the future, regardless of what level it's at. That is, of course, with the AMG specific grille. Gone is the smiley face grille, and now we've got the more A-shaped angry face one, as started by the GT family. So, of course, some people are annoyed about this. A lot of people have just gotten used to the idea that every AMG will have it. I'm the latter at the moment. I think I've gotten used to the idea whether I like it or not. It looks good on this car. It certainly makes it seem an AMG, and the front end, especially when the car's coming at you from behind, looks very, very mean indeed. It's not just that though. The lights are a completely new shape on the facelift with a really nice graphic inside. The front seems a bit softer to me compared to the pre-facelift, particularly the lower part where you've got the air curtains here. This is not an intake. The intake's there. These are air curtains to push air around the side into the wheel arch of the car. So as you can see, that new fascia versus the old one, a lot more aggressive, isn't it? But I must say that this grille is smaller than the one that you get in the full-fat 63S AMG, and indeed the entire front much softer versus that car. Then the rear, big update on the rear as well. Of course, you've got the new lights with the square shape in them. Whether you like them or not, in photos they don't look great. In person on the road, I think they look really good. The main bit are the pipes at the bottom. You used to get those horrible diesel-looking ones with the slat in them. Now you get the fantastic round pipes, as in the A45S and the other 53 AMGs. The lower diffuser is a bit different in that regard as well. So overall, design is looking that much more AMG, that much more AMG DNA put into the GLC43. So of course you can get some different styles on this car in terms of wheels. So if I talk about the UK variant, you'll get to see the wheels as well. First of all, you get a completely basic car. Never ever go for this, guys. Go for at least the minimum that we have today, which is the premium package. Premium package gives you those larger wheels, which design-wise you will see are quite reminiscent of the C63 507. They look really good, plus you end up getting leather inside, you get wood trim as well. You benefit from the augmented reality navigation in MBUX, and you also get the side running boards. Then there's a version above this called the Premium Plus car. There you get those larger wheels, the largest that you can get on this car, which I think look really, really good. You also get the panoramic sunroof. You also get the seat memory package and the Burmester sound system. So really, for everyday use, that is the one to go for. It's probably best for resale, and in my eyes, it looks the best as well. But there's a lot of changes inside for the facelift GLC as well, a lot more than the C-Class got in its facelift, thanks to MBUX and a few other bits that I want to show you now, and then you're going to see how good this car sounds still when you take it out on the run. So guys, as we jump into this new GLC43, you get that lovely welcome screen with the new front fascia of the car. Now, this screen is very important, as is that screen, because of course, now in the facelift, you get the full digital screen in front of you, just like in the C63 facelift and in the GT family facelift for the 2 doors as well. And it's nice, you get the Super Sport display, the choice of different displays in there. But these screens and these designs are a bit old hat in the sense they're from the first GT 4-door generation. So you don't get the absolute up-to-date ones that you get in the A35, A45, GLE53, etc. But they still are digital and they're still a lovely design. What's more important is second screen here. This is where you get MBUX. Now, you've heard me talk about MBUX before. MBUX is very important because it's probably the best car operating system that I've ever used myself, and I'm very critical of car operating systems in all my reviews. The good thing about this one is, when it comes to using it, you have a lot of choices. So rather than, for example, the RSQ3 that we recently tested, where you only have the choice of using touchscreen or voice control, with this car, you can use touchscreen. You can use the touchpad here if you don't like touching the screen, and you get a nice click whenever you do that. And you can also use the touch buttons on the steering wheel here. And you can also use the voice assistant. And the voice assistant is bloody brilliant in MBUX. So, for example, hey Mercedes.
How may I help you?
Find me a McDonald's.
Select an entry, please.
So you've got a range of different options on how to interact with the car, not just limited to one or two. Plus, the way that the operating system talks is very reminiscent of the totally up-to-date Siri in your Apple phones, where it actually talks very naturally and not like a robot, as you'll find in a lot of other manufacturers. So it's an absolutely brilliant system. Then you'll notice these lovely lights. You get the full range of 64 different ambient light options, alongside having the multicolor option as well, which you don't get in the C-Class, for example. As far as the AMG side of the system, you can set up your individual mode exactly as you want, with the addition of AMG Dynamics, which was brought into the new C63 and the GT family. So you can set the car to be more basic in the way that it drives in terms of its steering, suspension, braking, etc., or more advanced, and that's something that you can put in individual now as well. Of course, in the AMG version, you get the full proper AMG steering wheel. However, in the UK, we don't get the control buttons that are optional for you guys in Europe and in the rest of the world. You also don't get the option of AMG Performance bucket seats, you just get the standard ones. Luckily, we do have leather in this premium pack version car along with the wood trim. As I said, this is the minimum for you guys to get in this car. I would go a stage ahead, perhaps, with the Premium Plus, where you benefit with the sunroof and the Burmeister sound system, as I said earlier, as well, which are really quite important options, in my opinion. In terms of the coupe versus the SUV, I'm a big advocate of the GLC coupe in every regard, because headroom is really good, boot space is really good, and unless you're chugging around loads and loads of luggage, I put the biggest pram in the world in the back there, which is the stocky pram. Parents will know the one I'm talking about. It fits with loads more room still, so I don't see practicality as an issue. You need to choose which body style you like with the GLC. What else is important? Well, with an AMG Emotion Start, and this GLC43 still sounds very, very good. So let's do it. Again, I'll always remind you guys, you push the button and immediately hold one of the paddles and you'll get a louder startup. There you go, AMG Emotion Start, works every time, sounds really, really good. Now let's see whether this car still sounds good despite the new noise regulations here in the EU, and see how it matches up to the previous version and the elder brother GLC63S. So guys, what are we looking for inside a GLC43? I'm looking for fun. I'm not looking for something that's going to be dynamic like the GLC63S has been for us. We've seen it so many times on the channel now. It's done so well for me as a driver. You guys have absolutely loved that car as well. But I'm not expecting the dynamism that makes that car so special in the 43, because I think my expectations are lesser, as they should be. But by no means does that mean I'm not expecting fun out of this. Now at the moment we're in comfort, got the exhaust off, let's put that on. Like I said, I like the V6 sound in this car, all right? It's probably a lot more sonorous than what we get in the inline 6 that you find in the 53s. Now let's stop the foreplay, let's actually go into Sport Plus, and you'll see even just that, there's quite a lot of nice sound in this car, which is for the first tick box on any AMG, right? And for an entry-level GLC, it's got to do that. And of course, shooting off from a standstill as well. So that sounds good. You've got a bit of that A45 fart from the original car. Oh, I do like this V6. It's so easy to make it play the way you want. That typical AMG flavour. And you really can't discount this element of good sound when it comes to an AMG. So, as far as the daily AMG goes, when you have it in Sport Plus like this, and you want to make the engine play in that typical AMG way, then the car does it, which is great. Now, since we're in Sport Plus, let's actually give this car a bit of welly, shall we? Now, it's interesting, there's quite a bit of body roll. Now, as I said, I was expecting this. It feels quite understeery as well. But you know what, for an entry-level SUV, it's not bad. The steering is brilliant. All the electromechanical racks in the AMGs just have fantastic steering, and what's nice is you don't come out of a 63 into something like this GLC43 and suddenly you've got a numb front end. That just doesn't happen. Their steering racks are brilliant. In fact, they're probably some of the best in the market just generally. Grip levels, as you expect out of 4MATIC, are pretty epic. It's not 4MATIC Plus though, so it's a 50-50 split on this system, which makes it, you know, that less dynamic, that less clever versus something like the GLE53, which, to be honest, I think actually feels like a smaller car when you're driving fast. From what little we've driven on it on the channel, this car kind of feels bigger, and I think a lot of that is because of the clever weight control and the body roll control that's in the GLE53 versus this GLC, and that's something you want to, I think, keep in mind if you're weighing the two up. Gearbox is really good. It's, again, not really a talking point, but it just works when it should, and it's nice to have that in a 43 where I'm not having to complain about the fact that it's got a sluggish gearbox versus the elder brother. Now, power-wise, it's got that extra oomph that the car was missing in the pre-facelift. The scheme of things is 30 horsepower only, but if you look at the total figure it had before, it's about 10% more, and you do feel it in this car because otherwise it's a big old car. Just going through bends like this when you're coming out of a corner, let's see what that feels like in this car. Tight corner. I wish you had just a little bit more. It's nice to have had the bump up, and the GLC43 previously really felt weaker, but when I'm driving this and I see this interior and it's got that grille, I'm kind of thinking GLC63S, and that's when my brain is saying, well, why isn't this going faster? That being said, the mid-range punch is quite a lot. It makes this car very fun. So we've got nice sound, we've got decent handling, I think, for an entry-level car anyway. Certainly no Porsche Macan in that regard. And then that mid-range punch, yes, it's got it, the GLC43. That's one thing I really like about these performance four-wheel drive cars, especially the smaller ones. It's quite addictive to accelerate hard again and again. But the AMG side is good in this car. You know, you've got a decent amount of power for an entry-level car. You've got really good sound. Probably the best soundtrack on an entry-level AMG after the GLE53. I keep comparing this car to the GLE53 because it's a bloody brilliant car, but it's so much more expensive as well, so we have to bear that in mind. Now, we've had a look at the AMG side. Let's chuck the car back into comfort. And this is a part where the GLC43 as you would expect, really shines because the entry-level AMGs tend to be that much closer on the scale towards a normal Mercedes-Benz. And what you'll find with this car is, especially on the wheels that we have on this, it's got really quite decent suspension for everyday driving. It's going to chew up miles and miles in a way that is really pleasant, even on our bumpier UK roads. Now, in comparison to the 63S, one big plus point is, sound-wise, there's hardly any difference to the pre-facelift, whereas the 63S had a massive difference in sound. The engine response of the V8 bi-turbo versus this V6 bi-turbo, the V8 feels like a natural engine. This feels very turbocharged, like it wants to bunny hop down the road. Then you've got the body roll. The handling's probably the biggest thing in the difference between the two of them. That feels like a sports car. This does feel exactly the way it looks. Looks like an SUV. And of course you've got the standard 4MATIC system, not the more clever 4MATIC Plus with 100% variable going to the rear, feeling more like a rear-wheel drive car. This doesn't feel like that. And it's the same story with the GLE53. The GLE53 has that much more than this and so much more AMG flavour like the big boy 63s. So just getting all of the facelift benefits plus that lovely grille does not seal the deal, making this a total AMG. Undoubtedly it's a better GLC43. Now you link all of that to MBUX, to the fact that you still have a really good AMG package as well. And guys, this is a really great AMG daily for an entry-level SUV. Probably better than the GLB35 and the GLA35. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, this full look finally at the GLC43, please do like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you get all of the notifications. We don't pump out videos on other channels, but when we do one, we put our heart and soul into it. So guys, I'm going to enjoy myself in this GLC a little bit more, and I'll see you guys next time.